Hi there, good morning. Welcome to on this Easter Sunday here in southeast Pennsylvania. Very warm yesterday, but the temperature is starting to plummet a little bit. It's still not going to snow or anything, but I welcome you here. I see Keith Shaw was first man in on YouTube, and then Slim Edelman, Audrey Bernheimer, Michael Tierson, Marlene Burke, Carol Pred, Ken Nashif, Lori Payne, Judy Wong, Tom Dietz. Great to see you all here. Rhonda Scott Merrick. And I hope you all have either a festive or a relaxing day planned. Mine will be more on the relaxing side. And I have the Clunkophonic mug here. Here's to you all. We clink in solidarity and good fellowship. Clink for the Constitution, clink for democracy, clink for due process. Enough said about that for now. And then I have a picture of Charlie the dog. Charlie the dog, about a half hour ago, Charlie the dog decided there might be some food crumbs under my computer table here. So he knocked the whole thing over and everything went sprawling across the floor. I put it all back together. I hope you can all hear me okay. I think I've got the volume set right, but he knocked the preamp down and we had to do a little readjustment there. But here's the boy a little while ago. You know, I was going to get a picture of him because it's Easter. There he is. I was going to get it, and behind him there is his little green ball. It looks like it's not round, but that's because it has a decal of teeth on it, so that when he puts it in his mouth, it looks like he's smiling. If he gets it at just the right angle. So, yeah, he decided there might be something underneath the table, and he went after it. But he's a reasonably good boy. Let's just leave it at that for now. So, and I see some others have shown up, and let me see if I can say hi to them quickly. Rhonda Scott Merrick, Donna Greenberger, Retta and Ron, Charlie Bryant, Karen Beatty, my dear, Dave Mason over in Scotland, Debbie Daniels in South Pasadena, Florida. Pina coladas, that's good. That's classic Easter fare, I believe. And I've said hi to Debbie Moore, Mike Stillman, David Arthur Ratcliffe in the UK, and Keith Shaw on Facebook, and Warren and Janelle. Hi from sunny South Dock Janning, inaugural poet laureate of South Euclid. I do not know what that means, but I'll take your word for it. Kate Mack, good to see you here. You get a how shall we say, a request today, I believe. But I'm going to start with this one. Rich O'Connell's here and out there in Monument, Colorado. And Carol Pred says sound going in and out again. I hope all of you, except for Carol, are getting good sound, and I hope she eventually gets good sound. Dana Jackson, thank you for showing up. And Lori Payne, happy 420. Yeah, you know that 420 thing. I'm not a dope smoker, but I defend your right to smoke dope. I'm sure Keith is all over it. Okay, Slim says no sound issues in Tucson, so that's pretty far away. I'm assuming we're okay. This is a Bob Dylan song. It was requested by Kit Serikaku, who is probably asleep in her bed on Oahu right now, but so it goes. Early one morning the sun was shining. I was laying in bed, wondering if she had changed at all, if her hair was still red. Her folks, they said our lives together, that sure was gonna be tough. They never did like Mama's homemade dress, Daddy's bank book wasn't big enough. And I was standing by the side of the road, rain pouring on my shoes, headed out for the East Coast. Lord knows I paid some dues getting through. Tangled up in blue. Well, she was married when we first met, soon to be divorced. I helped her out of a jam, I guess, but I used a little too much force. We drove that car as far as we could, abandoned it out west. We broke up on a dark, sad night, both agreeing it was best. And she turned around to look at me as I was walking away. I heard her say over my shoulder, we'll meet again someday on the avenue. Tangled up in blue. Now I had a job in the great Northwest, working as a cook for a spell, but I never did like it all that much. And one day the axe just fell. So I drifted down to New Orleans, where my luck it was to be employed, working for a while on a fishing boat just outside of Delacroix. But all the time I was alone, the past was close behind. I seen a lot of women, but she never escaped my mind, and I just grew tangled up in blue. Now she was working in a topless place. I stopped in for a beer. I just kept looking at the side of her face in the spotlight so clear. And later on, as the crowd cleared out, I was just about to do the same. She was standing there beside my chair. She said, "Tell me, don't I know your name?" I muttered something underneath my breath. She studied the lines in my face. I must admit I was a little uneasy when she bent down to tie the laces of my shoe. Tangled up in blue. Well, she lit a burner on the stove and offered me a pipe. She said, "I thought you'd never say hello." She said, "You look like the silent type." She opened up a book of poems and handed it to me, written by an Italian poet from the 13th century. And every one of them words rang true and glowed like burning coals, leaping off of every page, like they were written in my soul from me to you. Tangled up in blue. Well, I lived with them on Montague Street, in the basement down the stairs. There was music in the cafes at night and revolution in the air. And he started into dealing with slaves. Something inside of him died. She had to sell everything she owned and froze up inside. And Then when finally the bottom fell out, I became withdrawn. The only thing I knew how to do was to keep on keeping on like a bird that flew, tangled up in blue. So now I'm headed back again. You got to get to her somehow. All those people we used to know, they're an illusion to me now. Some are mathematicians, some are carpenters' wives. I don't know how it all got started. I don't know what we did with our lives. But me, I'm still on the road, headed for another joint. We always did feel the same, but we just saw it from a different point of view. Tangled up in blue. Tangled Up in Blue by Bob Dylan, one of the great story songs. Filled with typically Dylan-esque imagery and whatever, all kinds of stuff. I just love that song. So sometimes for request days, I only get a few requests that I feel like doing or that I know or whatever. And sometimes I get no instrumental requests. And that was what happened this week. So I chose my own instrumentals for today. And this one is from Bill Brunzi, and I realized I'd never played it here before. So it's a song I actually originally heard it from my buddy Andy Cohen, and he showed it to me, probably 1971. And then I went back and learned it myself, and I listened to the original Bill Brunzi recording and all that stuff. So I see Steve Lowry here. Hey, Steve, good to see you. He's another old high school buddy. Eben Atwater, and I said hi to Mike Stillman. Connie Copey is here. Connie Copey, I'm sorry. And Rita Rubin, my dear friend from Kent. And I wish you were coming to Kent for May 4th, Rita. And I think I've said hello to the rest of you. Michael Miller is here, and Howard Hobbs. And I said hi to Michael Tierson. Michael, I don't know if you've heard, I posted on my page, but Billy Strings did a version of Tangled Up in Blue, which was just brilliant. And it's on my page if you scroll back far enough. He just did it a few days ago. And like that. Anyhow. Here we go with the Shuffle Rag. The Shuffle Rag from Big Bill Brunzi. And I made it through in much better style than I thought I was going to make it through. So thanks for listening. Oh, baby. Jim Moran is here from Nashville, Tennessee, and Cleveland, or previously Cleveland. And next up, this was a request from Kate Mack, I'm pretty sure. And, perfect for these times. This is a Mose Allison tune. And Mose was a really trenchant songwriter, as well as a great piano player, an amazing vocalist, great singer with a very distinctive vocal style, and a great songwriter. The whole bit, the whole thing. Ever since the world ended, I don't go out as much. People that I once befriended, they just don't bother to stay in touch. And things that used to seem so splendid, they just don't matter today. It's just as well the world ended. It wasn't working anyway. And ever since the world ended, ain't no more Bible Belt. Remember how we all pretended, going around lying about the way we felt. All the rules have been amended, and there ain't nobody keeping score. It's just as well the world ended. We couldn't have taken much more. Ever since the world ended, there's no more black and white. Ever since we all got blended, we got no more reason to fuss and fight. Dogmas that we once defended no longer seem worthwhile. Ever since the world ended, I face the future with a smile. I think that is in the dictionary beside the word droll. There should be the lyrics to this tune. So I see a couple other people showed up here. My old friend Alan Kane and Steve DeHaas out there in California. Dave Van Allen is here. And let me see if I'm missing anybody else. Yeah. So it is announcement time, and there are some invisibles potentially. George Young is one of them, and Judith Fox, Mario Prue, who built this gorgeous guitar for me about 13 years ago, and who else? Joel Biget, he's another one. And there might be some others, but I don't know about them because I can't see them. Chris Rickey is here, and I hope Rickey is the way to pronounce that. S.A. Tudhope out there, Shirley, and like that. So There is, as always, a PayPal link right there next to my left index finger, and Venmo if you'd like to help support Charlie the dog and our other endeavors here in Raleigh World. And then I have guitars. So today's guitars, for the first tune in drop D, I used my Martin OM18 Authentic, 2013. So it's also about 12 years old now. And the Authentic series was Martin's best attempt without a bunch of fancy, frou-frou and inlays and stuff. It was just their best attempt to make a guitar exactly like the guitars they made pre-World War II, which was considered the golden era of acoustic guitar building, even though right now we're also in a golden era of acoustic guitar building. Anyhow, this one is based on a 1933 orchestra model, that's OM18, and which was at that time the largest guitar that Martin built. Maybe they'd already come out with the Dreadnought by then, but anyhow. Tom Stackhouse, hey buddy, I hope you're doing well. And Pam Zappardino and Cozy Sheridan is here, and in the house, and Clifford Wagner and Ann Mintz are here, and like that. So, and Judy said she's in the midst of Concord, Lexington, and Lincoln, where there's several reenactments all day Saturday. So I read Heather Cox Richardson's speech that she gave at the Old North Church, and every time she mentioned one of those towns, I thought of you, Judy, and Brad Meyer, and all the other folks who live out there. So, we used to fight tyranny. Let's see if we can fight it again. So that's that guitar. This is this guitar. The Mario Prue RBL00 and the Martin OM18 Authentic. And there are things in my future. I will be in Kent, Ohio with the wonderful duo Magpie on May 4th and playing at the Kent Stage, doing an evening of songs of the anti-war movement and other topical songs of the 60s. Probably some other stuff as well. In June, I will be in Maryville, Tennessee with Steve Kaufman's Acoustic Camp from June 8th through the 14th. I'll be at the Old Songs Festival in upstate New York. Again, that one's with Magpie on June 27th through the 29th. That's a lovely small festival. And I'll be at Sam W., my favorite guitar camp, Summer Acoustic Music Week in New Hampshire from July 13th through the 19th. And the schedule is I am on right now, as you may have noticed. I don't know who's on Monday, but I suppose somebody will tell us. And if you read the chat, and Cozy Sheridan will indeed, she and Charlie Koch will be on Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. You can go to Cozy Sheridan's page to find that. And that's always a bright moment in the week and upbeat. Even when Cozy isn't feeling upbeat, she's upbeat. So anyhow, there's that. And then I will be back on Wednesday at 3 o'clock, right after I get a blood draw. So I may look a little sallow when I come back, but I should be okay. So those are the announcements. This one's for Marlene Burke. Marlene Burke asked me if I do anything along the lines of Leon Redbone, and I'll tell I wrote it into the thing, but I'll tell this story. Leon Redbone, after Kent blew up in 1970, a few friends of mine and I got in a car and drove up to Canada, where my brother lived in Toronto. And of course, while we were there, I had my guitar with me, and we found there was an open mic. So we went out to this open mic, and it was the usual it was one song each. So the usual bunch of guys got up, and then this guy got up, kind of Lebanese-looking kind of guy, with big mustache, and he had on an old beat-up fedora and an old raincoat, like a beige raincoat that you would expect Columbo to be wearing or something like that. And he played, he didn't play very impressive guitar, but he played a song called I'm Sitting on Top of the World. Now, there's a blues song by that name, but it wasn't that. It was the Tin Pan Alley song that went, I'm sitting on top of the world, just singing a song, just singing a song. And but he was so cool and he was so funny that I knew immediately, man, this guy's amazing. We're going to hear something about him. And then in the next year, Bob Dylan discovered him at Mariposa, and that was it, and then he became Leon Redbone. Later in life, he lived right here in Bucks County, and I would see him around. I never approached him because he was famously reclusive, but I'd see him, in the post office, or one night I was at the Sellersville Theater, and I was backstage saying hi to John Jorgensen and Brad Davis, and in walks Leon Redbone and goes, "Hey, hi, you guys," and they're like, "Leon," and I just stood out of the way of the fame. But anyhow, he was an amazing musician, and in his later years, near the end, he had dementia, and it was kind of sad, and he finally passed away a few years ago. So anyhow, Marlene Burke said, "Do you do anything in the Leon Redbone vein?" And I really don't. And then Ken Nashif said, "Well, Lazy Bones is probably that," and I'm pretty sure Leon recorded Lazy Bones, so I thought I would do that for you. Well, lazy bones, sleeping in the sun, how you gonna get your day's work done? You never get your day's work done, sleeping in the noonday sun. And lazy bones, snoozing in the shade, how you expect to get your cornbread made? You'll never get your cornbread made, you're sleeping in the evening shade. When them taters need spraying, I guess you be praying that the bugs fall off the vine. When you go fishing, I bet you be wishing that the fish don't grab at your line. Lazy bones, just loafing through the day, how you gonna make a dime that way? You'll never make a dime that way. You ain't even heard a word I say. Yeah, when them taters need spraying, I bet you be praying that the bugs fall off of the vine. When you go fishing, I know you'll be wishing that the fish don't grab at your line. Lazy bones, loafing through the day, how you gonna make a dime that way? You'll never make a dime that way. You ain't even heard a word I say. You're such a sleepyhead, you never heard a word I said. Lazy Bones, written by Hoagie Carmichael. So that would make Helene Tober Fowler happy if she were here. I see Jay Peterson and Bernd Bookman is here. And the rest of you, I think I've already said hi to most of you. Linda Worster. Hi, Linda. She's just here to say, gotta go now, replay later. And Judy Wong says, was it Einstein who said World War IV would be fought with sticks and stones? If only. I'm a big proponent of Thunderdome. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. No armies. You got a problem, take care of it yourself. That would cut down on the rich assholes making war. Deb Levy Clark. Hi, Deb. Deb and I, Deb's my rally buddy. She came up yesterday and we went over to Doylestown for the rally there. So anyhow, time is flying by here. I know you're all hungry for your spiral cut ham and all that stuff. I'll be having something else. I forgot to take salmon out of the freezer. Yeah, I'll still be okay. So the next up is another instrumental. I try to do a couple instrumentals, and this one is comes really out of the thumb picking tradition, even though it was a jazz, a standard from the 30s and 40s. And there's a great Django Reinhardt version of it. Everybody plays it, but it's become a real favorite with fingerstyle players from the kind of Chet Atkins, Merle Travis era. And I heard my favorite version of it probably is from my old friend Eddie Pennington, who's a wonderful thumb picker from Kentucky. Anyhow, this is I'll See You in My Dreams. I'll see you in my dreams. And I saw somebody back here. Let me go find it. I saw an Australian. Somebody said they were checking in from Australia and it was on YouTube. J.D. Andrews. Hello there. So I lived in Australia for about a year in the early 80s. I lived in around Sydney. I lived in Clovelly for a while, and I lived in Maroubra. So there you go. I love Australia, and actually right now, if I could easily emigrate there, I would give it serious consideration. And I have an Australian dog. He's part Australian cattle dog. So Australians are always welcome here. And I see Michael Clark and Heidi McClure and Keegan the dog and maybe Jerry Wordman. Who knows? And let me see if I'm missing anybody else here. I think I've said hi to most of you. So I have one more song for you today, and it's just something to take to heart on Easter. And it's got a lot of lyrics, so I will have to use a cheat sheet, and I will use the estimable Martin. This thing, too, is light as a feather. The only guitar I have that's probably lighter than this is my 34 Gibson. I first heard this song by Phil Oakes. He recorded it on the I Ain't Marchin' Anymore album in 1964, maybe 65. And I learned that it was written by Ewan MacColl, who strangely wrote the big hit, The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face. Ewan was primarily a folk singer and a folk music collector, a very radical politically, and as you will hear in this song. So I've made it a point to learn his version of this. Jesus was a working man, a hero as you shall hear, born in the slums of Bethlehem at the turning of the year, at the turning of the year. When Jesus was a little lad, the streets rang with his name, for he argued with the elder men, and he put them all to shame. He put them all to shame. His father, he apprenticed him a carpenter to be, to plane and drill and work with skill in the town of Galilee, in the town of Galilee. He became a roving journeyman, wandered far and wide, and he saw how wealth and poverty lived always side by side, lived always side by side. And he said, "Come all you working men, farmers and weavers too, if you will only organize, the world belongs to you. The world belongs to you." So the fishermen sent 2 delegates, and the farmers and weavers too, and they formed a working committee of 12 to see the struggle through, to see see the struggle through. When the rich men heard what the carpenter had done, to the Roman troops they ran, saying, "Put this rebel Jesus down. He's a menace to God and man, a menace to God and man." The commander of the occupying troops, he laughed and then he said, "There's a cross to spare on Calvary Hill. By the weekend he'll be dead. By the weekend he'll be dead." And Jesus walked among the poor, for the poor were his own kind, and they wouldn't let the cops get near enough to take him from behind, to take him from behind. So they hired one of the traitor's trade, and a stool pigeon was he, and he sold his brother to the butcher's men for a fistful of silver money, a fistful of silver money. When Jesus lay in the prisoner's cell, they beat him and offered him bribes to desert the cause of his own dear folk and work for the rich man's tribe, work for the rich man's tribe. And the sweat stood out upon his brow, the blood was in his eye, when they nailed his body to the Roman cross. And they laughed as they watched him die, laughed as they watched him die. 2,000 years have passed and gone, and many a hero too. But the dream of this poor carpenter, it remains in the hands of you, remains in the hands of you. A little something to think about on Easter. So I thank you, as always, for joining me. It's been grand. And as always, I urge you to take care of yourselves, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. So, which means be happy and be healthy, be brave and be calm, be kind, it's a snap, and if you get cranky, take a nap. It's my buddy Alex who said that. Take care. Have a good first part of the week. And I will hope to see you on Wednesday. Check out Cozy on Tuesday. Bye-bye.